Hi class, welcome back. This is week 9. We are about ready to engage in the topic of climate change. Before I jump in, I wanted just to take a moment and thank you guys for your help, your participation this past week when we brought in our special guest lecturer, Caroline Smith, to share some of her insights and thoughts about the potential effects of global inequality on the future of, or potential for future global conflicts. Again, I thought the presentation went very smoothly. I appreciate your attentiveness, questions that we had, and the feedback largely has been positive. Now, I know we only had, I think, 10 students on at the very end, which means that more than half of you weren't able to attend. For those of you who did sit down as per the instructions and watch the video, I hope that the playback of the video was as informative, helpful as it was live. It is my hope that we will do one more of these before the end of the term is up. I think I've mentioned before who my special guest would be, a friend of mine who works for the CIA. When I was speaking with him last week, he told me that he's still having some issues getting the proper permissions in place so that he can speak. As if you follow on the news, you are probably well aware that that CIA and other organizations have come in under a lot of hot water with the new presidency, and anyways, it's challenging, and he's not sure if he is going to be able to speak to us or not. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't have anyone lined up as a potential backup plan. I only have one colleague who works for the CIA. So if it happens, I think it's going to be an excellent presentation. Right now, it's the chance that it happens looks to be very much in doubt. So I'll keep you in touch, or I'll keep class and keep you informed as I learn. So this week, though, we are talking about climate change, and I would prefer that all of our conversations, as we've done so well this term, kind of avoid U.S. politics. Climate change, sadly, in my opinion, has been highly politicized, where Republicans and Democrats, our last presidential candidates, have all had different kind of opposing views on climate change, some arguing that it is certainly happening, that it is certainly man-made, and that we as a nation, as people, should be taking steps immediately to curb the negative effects of climate change, while others say that climate change is a hoax, it's a conspiracy theory. I want to take the line of, let's just assume that climate change is happening. I believe it's like over 95% of scientists around the world who study this issue say that it is happening. I'm not a scientist. I don't know for sure, but the information that we'll be looking at, the sources that we'll be reading, assume that climate change is happening and project what would happen if climate change, or if the ice caps continue to melt at the rate that they are. What does that mean for not only the United States' national security, but for the rise of global conflict overseas? We have seen just in the past year that the potential effects of climate change have been directly impacting countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So take, for instance, the Sudan. The Sudan have been under terrible famine conditions for a few years now, which have exacerbated local problems. The famine that has been caused there has left many people without food, and as a result, many Sudanese are in the midst of conflict, war, like Darfur, for instance, but many others are also fleeing the country to try to find a better life, more resources, and let's be honest, many of them are flocking to industrialized countries. The nearest are those in the European Union. So as part of this refugee push that we've seen from Syria, it overshadows the refugee push we've seen from sub-Saharan Africa. So it does seem that climate change is having an impact today on some people in this world and are increasing the opportunity for global conflict. So climate change, again, let's try our best to keep this unpoliticized and instead respond to the articles and the arguments that they make. I have 2 assignments for you. This week we'll be going back to a discussion board as well as a weekly writing assignment. In that weekly writing assignment, which is due on Sunday, I would like for you to take a position on this issue of climate change and write a letter to your politician. Now that may be at the federal level if you want to write to the President of the United States. Maybe you want to write to your congressman or woman, maybe a senator. It could be at the state level if you want to write to your governor or to a local representative, or even on the local level if you want to simply write to a politician in your borough, perhaps your mayor, and talk a little bit about your feelings about climate change. You do not have to argue in favor or against climate change, but more or less policies. I encourage you to use the readings from this week to help you explain yourself and to provide some substance, some support for your arguments. But that assignment, which you do not technically have to send to your politician or email to him or her, but I do ask for you to write it as a letter to your politician. All right, that's it for this introduction message. I have 1 or 2 more that I think I'll post about some of the articles that you'll read. So move on to the next video. Thanks.